In the meantime, it's all systems go for the EFF Africa Day rally, which is being held at Jubilee Park in the Tshwane CBD. EFF Commander-in-Chief Julius Malema is expected to address that rally under the theme, Africa, We Are One. 55 years since the Organization of African Unity was formed and 14 years since it turned into the African Union, South Africa's fastest growing opposition party will weigh in on its vision for a united Africa. EFF leader Julius Malema recently joined the Pan-African Parliament, which sits in Midrand, where he promised to turn around the powerless legislature. He is expected to weigh in on issues including economic growth and migration. Well, let's go now to Pretoria once again. We crossed our reporter there, Tshwane CBD. She's live for us ahead of that rally. Tshwane, good afternoon to you. Julius Malema is someone who's really shaped the political landscape of our country. He's now a part of the Pan-African Parliament, and he's certainly drawn much of his political rhetoric from lessons learned through African politics. So what kind of significance can we draw from him speaking today and holding his own Africa Day rally?
Well, Natasha, he has already arrived, the Commander-in-Chief of the EFF here. And if you look here, this is the African map. And the theme for this day for the EFF is Africa Unite, Africa We Are One. But in terms of what we can expect from the CIC, I have here the Deputy Secretary General of the EFF, Kalipi. What message can we expect from the Commander-in-Chief?
I think CIC is going to talk about a lot of things. Remember that we celebrate this day almost every year as EFF because we think it is very important to remember where we come from. We think that if no one, especially the political parties, who's going to talk about what is Africa, so it means a lot to us. So you know that CIC has been sworn in as a new member of Pan-African Parliament. And since he arrived in the Parliament, he have raised some critical issues. Amongst those issues, to say that those people who are president of Africa must be accountable to that Parliament because there's a lot of corruption and we don't know, there's no program that is taking place. So we're expecting also Commander-in-Chief to talk about that as well. Since he is a new member of PAP, what is going to happen? Because now we can't fold our arms and say that we have a Parliament that represents Africa while there's nothing that is happening. So it's very important for him to touch on that one. Above that, I think he's going to motivate us as he used to about how to live as Africans because we must be united at all the time. If we are divided as Africans, it means that there's no continent that we have to protect.
But let's talk about his issue with old African leaders. Now, when you look at the continent, at least 20 or even more of them are over 70 or somewhere over 80. And it is an issue that he spoke out against, particularly the Pan-African Parliament.
It's true. Even the population of Africa is youthful. So now we must also go all out to say that people who must become president in Africa must be the youth. So we start with him. He is very young. He is a very successful and progressive president of a very progressive party. So we must go and change the status quo in Africa as a whole. So I agree with him. It has been a shameful experience to say that that's why nowadays we don't even own land because those old madalas in Africa, they are afraid to challenge the status quo. So we need young people who's going to say that, no, let us change the outlook of Africa.
Well, there you have it, Natasha. Let us change the outlook of Africa. This is the message that we expect to get from the CIC of the EFF. And as I say, he's already on stage and we expect him to speak from any moment now. But we have many, many African countries that are represented here. Earlier, I spoke to people from Cameroon. I spoke to people from the Central African Republic. And I know that the Democratic Republic of Congo has been on this stage here. So a lot happening in terms of Africa Day here in Tshwane. Natasha?
Thank you so much. We'll leave it there for now. And Tshwane CBD live for us from the Pretoria CBD as the EFF is holding their own Africa Day rally, and we're expecting, as she said, to hear from Julius Malema any time from now.